welcome to this week's edition of From Me to We with Pastor and First G. I am First Gentleman Damion Parks Weekly, and this is my great husband, Pastor Romell Parks Weekly.
Hello.
So we are back on track. I won't say we got off track, but we kind of went right into homosexuality for a few weeks. Some much needed topics. Some people were inboxing us and talking about it, a lot of things that we're known for, especially Pastor. So we are back on a little bit more geared towards exact relationship situations. So this week we will be talking about on the topic of will it happen for me? So a lot of times we get, I get a lot of like almost relationship advice or questions or whatever, and a lot of people are, whether they're younger or middle-aged or a little bit older, that 40, 50 something crowd, I do get a lot of questions or things, or what do I do, or do you think it'll happen for me? So we're going to talk about will it ever happen to me? The answer is yes, it can happen for you. So take a deep breath, breathe. So we're just going to share a few pointers that we think maybe we could interject to you about, what can, some of the things that can help them.
Right. And you said people ask the question, what do I do? Well, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Why are you trying so hard? You kind of like, I know that a lot of times, particularly in the church, we go back to that passage about a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. But remember that was during a time when women were property.
Yeah.
So, you had to go out looking for her as an acquisition.
Right.
Well, that's not what today is. We're talking about love. We're talking about marriages that are based on affection, not just a socioeconomic.
It's not a business venture.
It's right. It's not a social contract. So, from this perspective, you can't force love. You can't force affection, and that's one of the problems that people have. They're trying so hard to force it, so that when it doesn't work out like it's not supposed to, we're hurt and we're bothered. So we have to kind of like back up from the whole process and let the thing develop in its own time and its own pace.
Right.
And just kind of stop trying to make every situation out to be, your long-term, lifelong relationship.
And honestly, when people meet you, you come across as needy, or in today's term, thirsty.
Oh God, yes. Yes.
And that just runs people off.
It's a turn-off, because you think, I don't have the energy to have this person running around like a puppy dog.
It's too much. So you really, and you also don't want to treat every new person that you meet, you're automatically sizing them up, whether or not this is someone that can be in a long-term relationship,
Right.
someone that, can I eventually marry this person? When in the very beginning, that should not be in your list of priorities at the beginning of it. You're trying to get to know an individual, and they're trying to get to know you. So long-term relationships and that sort of thing, it shouldn't be at the top of your list or at the forefront of your mind. I'm not saying throw it away. It could be in a list of criteria that you eventually get to.
But think about it. If you just met somebody, you have no criteria by which to make this decision anyway.
Right.
That's what dating is all about.
Right.
Learning more about this person so that you can make an informed decision about the long-term prospects.
Exactly.
That once you know, okay, this is not the one, then don't waste your time. But at the same time, you don't know that 1 week, 2 days after you met him, 1 week after you met him, 1 month after you met him. So, get to know each other first. Then date. First of all, even dating, it's like you just right off the bat, and again, sometimes you wind up pushing people away because they're trying to move a little more slowly and actually do things the right way. And what you do is it's like you're showing all your cards. You're showing them that, like you said earlier, you're thirsty, that you're needy, that you're desperate, and somebody wants a partner. They don't want a project.
Right.
And especially when they've already, like, for some people it doesn't matter because they're a project of their own. But when you have actually developed yourself,
right,
and you become rooted and grounded in who you are as a person, you don't have time to be trying to take somebody, a partner under your wing. This is supposed to be a life partner, not a one of the lost youth of the world that you're trying to be a mentor to.
Right. So that kind of brings us to the subject of, or to the point of, getting yourself together. I think a lot of times people just feel like, oh, I'm this age, I've got this degree, I've got my own house, I've got a car, you know, I'm settled, I'm together. No, because that's not what it's all about. Where are you, you know, are you ready to be somebody else's somebody? Are you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, are you ready to be somebody else's somebody?
And when you think about that phrase, somebody else's somebody, you want somebody, but have you made yourself ready to be their somebody?
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Many of us look at the whole dating scenario about the thing as we're very selfish. It's all about what we want. It's all about the vision that we have in our head.
Right.
Well, your partner has a vision too.
Right.
And, you know, is there room? Potential partner, right. Thank you. Is there room in your vision for how theirs may differ from yours?
And if you find yourself using 3 words all the time, me, my, and I, you've got to look at that. When you can really look at how the other person is affected by this interaction or this getting to know you stage, that's actually the key of it. You know, what do I do to work on me in order to be more appealing to him or her? What do I need to fix? If you know you have a jealous streak, work on that. You know, commit to yourself, and before you get involved in a serious relationship, commit to yourself to say, hey, what can I do, or what can I say to myself? What can I read? How much more can I pray about me getting rid of this jealous streak? Or if you know you have a trust factor, that you, or you know, you are always looking out of the side eye at the person, you're always looking for the negative right away instead of looking for the positive. And I have some friends who are like that, and God bless y'all, I love you, 1 or 2 of y'all know who you are, but you have a trust factor. You know, they're alone, I think, right now because they don't trust people. You have to at some point. We're all going to get our hearts hurt or damaged or bruised, or our feelings hurt, or at some point. That's the risk of relationships. And if you're not willing to take that risk, then I don't really know that you'll ever really make it that way. So the other part of that is something that he and I both experienced before we met each other. Mine was in my little 5-year period. I don't know how long yours was.
I don't really know. Probably about 2 years.
About 2, okay. Is that whole thing of, if you really can say to yourself, I really can, God, I really can be happy with just you and I. If you can ever get to that point, he just automatically, it's like a breaking period. I actually saw my breaking period. It still didn't happen like right away, but I knew what my breaking period, when I finally said, okay, God, if I'm meant to be single for the rest of my life, then so be it. So I recommitted again to him, mentally and emotionally, and in my acts and in my prayers daily. And I committed to him, and I embraced being a single person. Yes. I enjoyed being a single person. I don't mean enjoyed like went out and slept with everybody and just partied all the time and out running from club to club. You know, not to saying anything is wrong with that. If that's what you do, boo, then do you. But I just embraced being a single person. I loved it.
But you get to know your own self better when you're not committing all of your time and effort in trying to get to know somebody else. Right. And many times you don't know who you are yet. You don't even know what you want yet. You just have this fantasy in your head. Fantasy. But you have to spend enough time with you to really know what you need in a relationship. And you know, like you, I had that experience where I was in the bed and I just said, okay, God, you know, if I'm going to be alone the rest of my life, I'm okay with that. Yeah. You know, and I think that that's a part of the process of coming to a place of emotional wholeness. Mm-hmm. You know, we talk about how in a relationship, it's supposed to be multiplication, not addition. You don't take half plus a half and make a whole. It's one whole person times one whole person equals one whole relationship. Right. So, but part of that process is being single, being alone, and developing enough love for who you are, knowing who you are, and then coming to love who you are, so that when another person comes into the mix, they don't overwhelm you. Right. You don't overwhelm them. Both of you all are stable and confident in who you are as an individual, and now you can actually build something from that. We're building stuff off of a broken foundation because we are so desperate that we will not give the time that we need to get us together. Right. So
you're right. Okay, you got to preach about that. That was a good word. But he's absolutely right, and I guess that's my thing. Like, those of you who are my Facebook friends and you see me on Twitter or Instagram or something, I often get, oh, help me find a mate. You know, can you help me find somebody? Can you get me a man?
Yes,
You know, help me
yes.
find a chick. You know, it's just like I can't help you find one, but I can encourage you to actively look at some of the things that we've been talking about and actually and get yourself prepared for it and just embrace being a single person. I think we have misinterpreted what embracing being single means. It doesn't mean that you want to be single for the rest of your life, but you've got to be happy in your skin, in where you are mentally, and if you're not there mentally and emotionally, you need to get there. So which kind of brings us to another topic. Another point is
one of the big ones.
Is the big one, especially for those of us, I think, in the gay and lesbian community, is our age variances sometimes. One of the things that a lot of people, especially for the guys, because I think we're just, you know, we feel like age is almost the opposite of straight people. Like straight people, the older men get, the more they're revered. And women, as they get older, they kind of get pushed to the side. On the opposite of that, on the gay terms of it, as we get older, we're looked at, pushed out to the pasture, and I think women oftentimes, younger women look to older lesbian women and they revere them. It's just the opposite of that. I thought about that dynamic before. I didn't even mention that earlier, but it's true. And so a lot of times, guys in particular, those of us that are like 40-something and 50-something, I even have Facebook friends that are like pushing 60 or are 60, that are like, I don't think it'll ever happen for me. But honestly, it's not that you've gotten content and okay with being single. A lot of times we've just become jaded. And we just become so settled and so negative. So, you know, you just feel like it's just not going to happen, so I'm just not going to worry about it.
And it's probably not going to happen because think about it. Who wants to be around all that negativity? Especially if you yourself are in your 40s and 50s and you're like, oh, the hell I've been through. I don't have time left in my life to be around all this negativity.
So you would think that with the history that we have, I won't even say about age, but the history that we have, that we would want to, you've seen the negativity, so you would want to embrace the positive and share the positive. So that whole line of, oh, there's nobody out there, nobody wants to be in a relationship.
I'm so tired.
That's crap.
Nobody in my city.
There's nobody in my city.
It's the city that's the problem.
Do you know that every city that I know of, that I have friends in, or that I've lived in myself, I've only lived in 2 cities, everybody has the same cry. That's the same cry all over the place. So if you all that are, those of us who have been complaining, we know it differently. But those of you who are complaining, if you all would get together, perhaps we could find somebody.
But this question about age, it's like, I was thinking earlier about how there are people who have been married for 30, 40 years, and then they become a widow or a widower. And oftentimes, they get remarried 2, 3 years later, 5 years later. They're in their 60s. Life still happens.
Absolutely.
And so just because you have been single all this time or haven't had a long-term relationship, it does not mean that the possibility is over.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to have spent all this time in your life building you, working on you, and then become so desperate that you wind up locking yourself up with a fool or an idiot. When you become desperate, and sometimes age does that because you start to feel like, okay, it's never going to happen. 2 things begin to happen. One, you either rush into a relationship that you shouldn't be in, or 2, you're in a relationship and you don't want to get out of it because you don't think, I just don't have the energy to start over. You better find the energy because it's better to start over than to stay with some fool.
And think about it, at that point or at that stage in life, there are some things that you know to look for and not to look for. You know some things to do and not to do. So it really wouldn't take you that long. I understand why sometimes when you see seniors who are widowed and they get remarried, you know, they don't take a long courtship because they're in the same place.
They're done with the games, they're done with the foolishness. So it moves faster because they're more
absolutely
settled in who they are.
And we're not saying that if you're 50 or 60 something that you should rush into anything, but you should have the tools. You should be able to come and tell us something. You know. So
but that's a very good point. Where is the older generation who can reach back to the younger, whether straight or gay, but can reach back to the younger generation and really help them in their relationships if you're still fumbling around, walking in the dark in your own life?
Absolutely. So, the second part of the age variation is that when you kind of talk about the desperation thing, a lot of times I think that you'll run into a situation where one part of the party is a little bit older, let's just say somebody in their 40s, and then we actually attempt to try to date someone or partner with someone who's in their 20s. Now, that's a 20-year age difference wherever it may go. And maybe it's somebody who's 25, 26, 27, and someone who's 41, 42, 43, somewhere around that. It's not, it isn't that it's not possible, but it's really hard. And I think another factor of it is it's not about maturity. People say, oh, he's mature. I know I'm 43, but he's a mature 26-year-old. It's not about maturity. The idea is that more than likely, you're ready to settle down. You're ready to set up shop. You want to play house, or you don't want to play house, you want to build a house at home. Right. And they're trying to enjoy life. They're just out of college or still in college or trying to go through the phases of life that you've already been through.
And so now you're going to deny them
that
the experience that you had, because you want them to jump over different stages and meet you where you are.
Right. And that's it's really unrealistic. And don't get me wrong, I know some couples already
in certain cases.
Yeah, in certain cases, some of them are already married, and I get that. I mean, I question the mentality of some people, but no shade. But
that was total shade.
It was. I'm sorry, God forgive me. But I do want to, you've got to let them live their portion of their life. It's what helped make you who you are today, and you can't just rake them over those stages and in order to satisfy your desire for a relationship or a marriage.
And we're not saying it can't happen. We're just saying if you go down that road, do it realistically.
Absolutely.
And in a fair way.
And think of those things. Think of the other
whether you can handle that. Yeah.
Right. And now, so you know that you can, but really and truly the other person is going to say, they're going to look at you, oh, he or she is older, they're more established, so I want someone more mature. But you have to really be the mature person to say, is this really a good deal? Do I need to give them the time to process and get through the stages just like I did.
Because one of the things we just said, you don't want a project, you want a partner. And so you don't want somebody you're just taking under your wings and becoming a mentor to.
Absolutely.
If you want to have that relationship, that's great, but that's not a partner relationship. So for some people it can work, but just, like I said, be mindful of those things.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us this week. We do hope that you will tune in again on next week when we bring another topic of relativity to relationships. So God bless you on today. Be sure, I said it, didn't I? On today. It's that churchy thing, y'all know it. But so just reach out to us from me to we at
judahfirst.org. From me to we at judahfirst.org. You can also reach us at www.judahfirst.org. Also on Facebook at facebook.com/JudahFirstMinistries. And finally on YouTube at youtube.com/JudahFirstMinistries.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you on next week. God bless you.
God bless. Bye-bye.